Bridget Phillipson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you for granting this urgent question. Crumbling school buildings, botched school budgets, and now the hat-trick, a childcare pledge in tatters because of Conservative bungling. And it's not ministers opposite, but families across this country paying the price for Tory incompetence. And how do we get here? A litany of failures, a pledge without a plan, a department without a grip, led by ministers without a clue. Families without the certainty of a childcare place they were promised by the Chancellor last March. And meanwhile, the department is facing a further £120 million shortfall because of yet another miscalculation. How are they going to make up this shortfall? Families are facing a rolling wave of Conservative chaos which wrecks all before it. Providers an utter fiasco, where their income after April is still a state secret. When will providers be told about their funding rates? How many families does he estimate will now not be able to access new hours because of this shambles? The Prime Minister's official spokesman said this morning, "We are confident that the provision and capability is there. We are confident in the strength of the marketplace." But the market is telling them that their plan simply isn't deliverable. The Chief Executive of the Early Years Alliance said signing up to the new system was, and I quote, "financial suicide for providers." Mr Speaker, this isn't a market, it is an almighty mess, and ministers know it. Government sources are briefing the papers that there will be parents that just don't get their places. So let me explain to ministers of words of one syllable. That is no good. That will not work. They must do more. They need to fix it. If providers can't price places now, how on earth can they be expected to offer more in September? Can ministers guarantee to parents now that the rollout will be delivered on time? Yes or no? Mr Speaker, it need not be this way. Sir David Bell is leading Labour's early years review to ensure that childcare is about life chances for children as well as work choices for parents. Up and down this country, families are fed up with this government, its broken promises, its incompetence. It's time for a general election and to end this Tory shambles once and for all.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'll try to pick up the questions from the bluster there. On the £120 million. This is a specific issue that affects September 24 onwards, where we allocated to local authorities 22 weeks of funding because that is the period from September to March. Some then said, in fact, they pay 26 weeks to their providers. So we got that money in order that they can provide those 26 weeks of funding where that is what they do. On funding rates for 3- and 4-year-olds, we actually announced these in April last year, and for 2-year-olds in November. And given that local authorities have to pass through 95% of the money that we give them, providers do have a pretty good idea of what they'll get. However, it is the case that while the vast majority of local authorities will have confirmed their rates in the coming weeks, there are a small number that leave it right up until the 31st of March, and we are encouraging them to not do that and to do it as early as possible, like the other local authorities are. She asks how many families won't be able to access the childcare offer as a result of these two issues. The answer is none. And as she knows, we have made significant increase to funding rates. Neil Leach, who she refers to, is on our stakeholder group. We value his input. But I think it will be clear to people watching this that while we get on with the biggest delivery of childcare ever, the Labour Party have no plan, no policy, and no idea how to help families with childcare costs.